meeting, and I am so sorry that I got confused about time zones, right? I mean, it's one of those things where I try to cross all of my T's and dot all of my I's, but I am not perfect. I am human and I do make mistakes, and this is one of them. So I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate being here. I really love visiting other meetings because I get to hear voices that I don't get to hear normally, and that's wonderful. But at the same time, we have unity. So it's remarkable where I can go to a room of strangers or come to a meeting with people that I've never met before, but we can still reminisce together, right? The reading that you were just reading, I remember so vividly those times when I would come home and I would eat from the moment I got home to the moment I went to bed. And I would, it was like this whole production to roll over in bed. I had to really kind of manipulate myself in my mass in order to be able to do that. When I came into program in 2008, I was 297 pounds and was very desperate. I had done so much in order to try to control my weight. I had done the normal things that everybody has tried, the weigh-in pays, the using medicine that my doctor prescribed, those kinds of, try to be fat and happy kinds of things. And nothing was working for me. So I was really ready for this program. And it has been remarkable, the journey that I've been on and the journey I continue to be on. It is an evolution that I am experiencing, and it is really a wonderful but sometimes painful process. So I've been relieved of 140 pounds. I've kept it off for multiple years. I am a runner, and I just never would have imagined that would have been my truth. It has only been through really fundamentally working the steps that this has been possible for me. When I came to program, I got a sponsor pretty much right away, and I worked program as if it was a checklist and as if I was graduating from first grade to second grade to third grade, and I would have homework that I would do, and that was the best of my ability at that point in time. And that really allowed me to work on the pieces that were necessary in order for the physical recovery to even be possible. I did have the 301 food plan, but I really was not engaged well with what my binge foods were. That was all still very nebulous for me. Eventually, my higher power and I got that figured out with the aid of a couple of other sponsors. And I really became accepting. This acceptance and surrender, those are not just words, those are ways of living. And it was in that my weight really became a non-issue. I hardly ever weigh these days. It is not in my best interest to weigh. So if ever my higher power nudges me, I always trust that nudge, and then I'll weigh. But most of the time, it's just kind of how my clothes are fitting and feeling. That's my guide. I really buy into this philosophy that the more human I am, the better I am. And I mean human as in like a mammal kind of thing. So if you think about all of the other animals in the world, they don't weigh themselves. They just are what they are. I mean, I don't even know, when was the bathroom scale even invented? When do we start weighing ourselves like every day? It can't have been that long ago, right? So that's kind of where I am today. Really important for me to keep that spiritual connection, that conscious contact with my higher power. And developing my higher power was a wonderful journey. So growing up, I had parents that got disillusioned with their particular religion, so we didn't go to church much, but they still had Christian kind of, philosophies. We did join a church at one point, a very liberal Christian church for a while, and I, even was part of, the administration, the volunteer people that kind of run the church sometimes, that kind of business. But it was never really something that worked in any meaningful way in my life. So another piece of me that is important to kind of put context to is I am very much a scientist. I am an educator. I teach physics. And I really have a lot of respect for science-based medicine and, the natural world. The physical laws are so impressive and foundational for me. So when I was developing my higher power, all of this just was kind of gelling in a way that was just lovely to experience. And my higher power became the universe, big T, big U, and really the physical laws. It's the energy and matter. The equation E equals mc squared obviously is an important equation in physics. And I am just as much of the universe as the universe. I am made of the exact same stuff. And the better that I fit into my universe in the appropriate way, the better I am. And so being able to connect with that is how I work with my higher power. And I decided that even though my higher power wasn't a deity, it needed a name. And I actually found a couple of years ago, the moment when I came up with the name, I actually was journaling. And, every once in a while I'll go back and look at my old journals. I don't know if you guys do that. It's fascinating. So I found the moment when I came up with my higher power's name. So my higher power's name is Aurora. And it represents the Aurora Borealis. So that's the Northern Lights. And the way that the Northern Lights work is we have charged particles that come from the sun, and they interact with the atmosphere, and they give the atmosphere energy, and that energy glows. And so this really is a lovely analogy of what I try to envision my higher power to be and working within me. So my higher power can be this energy that I can absorb and I can glow and be beautiful. It is a boundary. This aurora is a boundary between the terrestrial and the celestial. And so it just really resonates with me in a really fundamental way. Very important for my recovery is three things. My continued recovery is based upon conscious contact with my higher power. I have daily practices that I have to do. I need to build my spiritual insurance every single day because life is going to be life and it's going to throw at me things that I do not expect and I need to be prepared. And so every morning I spend time reading OA literature, journaling, connecting with my higher power. And for me, my meditation really just kind of looks like me staring off in space with a cup of coffee. That's my meditation. And again, just really connecting with my universe. That's my conscious contact here. I will email my sponsor and my sponsees. I will come up with a food plan. So a food plan is the second piece that's very important to my continued recovery. I continue to need to have a food plan every day, and I need to report to my sponsor exactly what I did eat. At maybe some point I won't have to, but at this point it's still really important to my continued recovery, and so that's what I continue to do. I weigh and measure what I have to. I have really, oh gosh, it just guys, it is amazing to be far enough in evolution in my program that I can trust myself with food. And I know when I have to weigh and measure, and I know when it's okay. And if I have to weigh and measure, I do. It's that acceptance and surrender piece. I don't bullshit myself anymore. I don't talk myself into stuff anymore. I don't play games anymore. That all is no longer appropriate for me. Those compulsive food behaviors I've been relieved from. The third piece that's really important to me as well is service. So to actually live in service in all aspects of my life, we want to practice our principles in all our affairs. And so I really have tried to embody that. So I was introduced as the Region 8 Treasurer, which is an amazing service position. Guys, when you can get to the region level, it's like, it's just this great thing. It takes a lot of time. I do have, lots of emails that I need to work on. By the way, you should go to the oaregion8.org website. And there's a couple of things for sale there that, would support the work of the region. So that's a plug for that piece of it. When you send checks, I get all of the money, and then I get to give away money. It's like the best job ever. So it's really, really great. So I also have service positions at my local group. And I also have service positions that I take where I work. And some are known and some are just some that I do because I like to do things that people may not even know about. There are recycle bins that get full and I empty them. And that's not my job, but that's a service that I can provide. There are, things that get trashed on the floor and I will pick them up and throw them away. And so I will intentionally seek out things like that to enhance that piece of my recovery. I live in integrity. I make a mistake, I make my amends immediately. I want to keep my side of the street clean, keep my soul clean. That's so, so very important to me. So I've been through the steps at least 3 times. And the most impactful step for me was step 4, 5, 6. So to really identify my character defects, really hold them up and look at them holistically, and then ask my higher power to relieve me of them has been a very amazing experience every single time. So the first time I used the OA 12 and 12 workbook, and that was a wonderful way for me to look at my character defects. The second time I did my character defects is I took the deadly sins, gluttony, that whole list and went through each of those and identified how they were manifesting for me, and then wrote what the opposite was. What could I turn that into, or what the opposite would look like? And that was a very powerful experience, working through the 12 deadly sins. The third time that I did the steps, I actually had a journal, and it's the journal that we're selling at oaregion8.org is based upon the journal that I used, where every day it helps guide me through my 10th step. And so one of the pieces is looking at any character defects that I had throughout the day. And so I kept track of what those character defects were, and then what the alternate would be. And then at the conclusion of the year, I went through and kind of compiled all of that together. And it was remarkable to see this all mapped out over the course of, I probably was about 6 months. that I really pulled all of that together. And it really was an eye-opening way of looking at the character defects that are small. The big stuff's easy for me. When I'm in crisis, I'm really into program. I'm talking to my higher power. I got my sponsor online. I mean, I'm working it. The piece that can be deadly and dangerous for me is the little things. It's the little things that lead to the big things. And the sooner I can catch the little things, the better for me. So that was a piece of that I was able to accomplish, to see those little things. I woke up this morning in a real funk. I slept poorly. I had nightmares. I've got a lot of stress in my life right now as an educator with the region. I've got a lot of things going on with the region. I've got a lot of things going on with my parents. And it was just, niggling at me. Any one of them is fine, but it was kind of like a compendium. And it entered my dream state. And so I slept very, very poorly. And I woke up not refreshed at all. So when I emailed my sponsor this morning, when I spent time in meditation this morning, I committed to really going back to basics. I'm going to follow my food plan precisely. I am going to really keep Aurora very close throughout the day. I am going to do the thing that's in front of me that needs my attention. And it was interesting how by the time mid-morning came, I was really fine. It is true that feelings will pass. My desires will pass. My funk will pass. And the important part is to hold on to that truth and to hold on to the tools until I get to the other side. And I experienced that today in a very meaningful way. And that was really, really wonderful for me. I read the For Today this morning. I don't know, did you guys read For Today in this meeting today? I referenced that it's wonderful that I can come to a room of strangers and we can reminisce together. And that actually was the For Today this morning. Let's see if I can find that real quick. Let's see, this is January something, right? All right. Talking about feelings is essential in Overeaters Anonymous. When I go to an OA meeting, the people there are like close friends, whether I know them or not. The more open and honest I can be when I share, the better I feel and the greater my chances of recovery. One member gave away a fifth step and was stunned by an immediate lifting of the severe depression he had been suffering for months. OAs are as different as any group of people anywhere, but we have one thing in common that bonds us instantly. We are compulsive overeaters. For today, there is no one I can talk to who will understand me better than an OA member. And so here we are together, and isn't that lovely? Trying to consider what else is my higher power leading me to share today. I am in such a different relationship with my students now than before. I remember getting teacher evaluations And multiple students would openly wonder why I was so angry all of the time and chastise me for making them feel like they were like they were stupid. And while I didn't want to accept that at the time, looking back on it, I can see how a lot of my students would feel that way. I have so much more compassion for everybody, including my students. I had 3 students cheat on their semester exam. And I've gone through the process of working with those students over the past week on how they made a mistake, but they are not mistakes. You know, that line that we say around our OA tables. And it's really lovely to feel like I can just have a conversation with these young men about living in integrity and really know that what I'm saying to them is true and valuable. And now I have just the grandest time with my students in class. And while sometimes I can get frustrated, because they are teenagers after all, you know, I just shake my head and, you know, they are who they are. And so I can choose how I respond. And I can respond in compassion, and I can respond in respect. And we can laugh with each other today in ways that I never could before. And that's a gift of program. One of the most difficult periods of my life was releasing my older son. Thank you. My older son graduated from college and, you know, had a bright future ahead of him, and things didn't work out. And I was shocked. I was surprised by how much that floored me and how wrapped up in my older son I was emotionally. And I had to work very hard with my higher power on that relationship. It was almost like, when is his life going to start? You know, that kind of really negative thinking on my part. And that's why I have to be conscious and aware of how the steps are worked on a daily basis. I can't work program with the tools. I work program with the steps. And so working through 12-stepping a problem, and again, that's one of these things. You guys know about 12-stepping a problem? I went through this little puppy a couple of times on my older son. And I'm so relieved that we are now interacting in ways that are healthy and ways that are respectful between us. Y'all, that was a blow through of what I wanted to share tonight. And I have like note cards, and, you know, I have this whole thing that I was going to bring to you. And instead I'm like grabbing the laptop and sitting here and just letting it go. So here we are. And it was great to be here. And thank you for letting me share tonight.
Thank you so much.